While in Italy, I spent a few days in Rome. Here I am at the base of the world-famous Spanish Steps, built in the 18th century. And here you can see Fontana della Barcaccia, or Fountain of the Ugly Boat, at the base of the Spanish Steps. And one more view of the steps. Here I am approaching the Colosseum, probably the most recognizable landmark in Rome. The Colosseum was built in the late 1st century by the emperors of the Flavian dynasty, and so it's also known as the Flavian Amphitheater. Here I am showing different parts of this grand structure, as I'm standing right in front of it. Here are the best views I could get from what you would see inside of the Colosseum. And there are also people dressed as Roman soldiers. You can take a picture with them for a fee. Next to the Colosseum is the famous Arch of Constantine. This was built to honor the Emperor Constantine in the early 4th century AD. Here you can see how close Arch of Constantine right there is to the Colosseum itself. Here I am in the church San Pietro in Vincoli, or St. Peter's Chains, famous for housing the sculpture of Moses by Michelangelo. Those horns are because of one of the interpretations of the Exodus book of the Bible. And here are the chains of St. Peter, for which the church is named. I also visited the famous Roman Forum. Here are the first views of it as my tour bus is approaching. I actually visited later when it already started to get dark. Here are a few more views of the remnants. That is the Arch of Titus in the distance. And this is Curia Julia, the ancient Senate building which was created in the 1st century BC. And this is Arch of Septimius Severus, built in the early 3rd century AD to commemorate him and his two sons, Geta and Caracalla. It is also an inspiration for the Arch of Constantine, built 100 years later. And these are the remains of the Temple of Saturn, which was originally built as early as 500 years before current era. This is a Trajan column built to commemorate Emperor Trajan's 2nd century victory in the Dacian Wars. This was the last conquest of the Roman Empire. And this is the Trevi Fountain, the largest Baroque fountain in Rome, built in the 18th century, and it's probably most famous. It figures in many movies such as La Dolce Vita, Roman Holiday, and Three Coins in a Fountain, from where apparently there came a custom of throwing coins in the fountain to make sure that you will come to this place again. This is Pantheon, a temple of all gods, built by Emperor Hadrian in the 2nd century AD. Here are the insides of the Pantheon. You can see the largest unenforced concrete dome in the world with the famous hole in the middle. This is the grave of Victor Emmanuel, King of Italy. And here is the grave of a famous Italian artist, Raphael Santi. This is the church of Santa Maria Maggiore. It's the largest church in Rome, dedicated to Virgin Mary. The church actually belongs to Vatican, even though it's not located there. And here are some views of the plaza in front of it and the monument also in front of this church. Here is me walking along Roman streets. This place is called the Four Fountains because, as you can see, there is a fountain on each corner. This is yet another view of one of the streets of Rome. And this is me on Piazza Navona, one of the famous squares. While I was in Rome, I took a tour I went to Colosseum, Forum, and the bus took me along several interesting places in Rome. Here are some views from the windows of the bus. And this is a monument to Vittorio Emanuele in Piazza di Venezia. This concludes my Roman movie.